In the early 1970s, John Lennon was not just a former Beatle. He had transformed into a vocal anti-war activist, a figure whose influence extended far beyond music. His songs echoed a message of peace and love. But as his public persona evolved, so too did the scrutiny he faced from the U.S. government. The FBI, alarmed by his growing prominence and outspoken opposition to the Vietnam War, began to view Lennon as a potential threat to national security, initiating a covert investigation that would span several years. The seeds of this investigation were sown in 1971 when Lennon and his then-partner, Yoko Ono, became increasingly involved in anti-war activities. They organized events such as the "War is Over If You Want It" campaign, which sought to raise awareness about the futility of the Vietnam War and promote a message of peace. Their high-profile presence at protests and public rallies drew attention, not just from fans, but from government officials who were wary of the influence Lennon wielded over a generation of young Americans. The FBI's interest in Lennon intensified when it became clear that he was not acting alone. His association with radical figures such as John Sinclair, a prominent activist and member of the White Panther Party, further fueled the agency's concerns. Sinclair had been arrested for marijuana possession and was sentenced to 9 to 10 years in prison, a conviction that Lennon vehemently opposed. In 1971, he staged a concert in support of Sinclair, highlighting the injustices of the legal system and rallying for his release. This act of solidarity, while well-intentioned, caught the attention of the FBI, which perceived it as a potential rallying point for anti-establishment sentiment. As the FBI ramped up its surveillance operations, they monitored Lennon's every move. Agents infiltrated his gatherings, recorded his conversations, and compiled extensive files on his activities. They were particularly interested in his connections with various activist groups and his public statements that boldly criticized U.S. foreign policy. The agency's reports reflected a deep-seated fear that Lennon could incite unrest among the youth, potentially leading to a wave of protests that could destabilize the nation. In 1972, as the FBI's scrutiny intensified, they began to explore legal avenues to deport Lennon, citing his immigration status. Although he had entered the United States on a work visa, the government sought to exploit any irregularities in his paperwork. The Immigration and Naturalization Service, INS, was enlisted to assist in this effort, and they started to build a case against him. The government argued that Lennon's activism and his public statements against the Vietnam War constituted grounds for deportation, framing him as a dangerous radical who could disrupt the social order. Lennon, however, was undeterred. He continued to speak out against the war, using his platform to advocate for peace and social justice. His music became a vehicle for his activism, with songs like Imagine and Give Peace a Chance resonating with millions, further galvanizing the anti-war movement. The more the government attempted to silence him, the louder he became, turning his personal struggles into a broader commentary on civil liberties and the right to dissent. The conflict reached a climax in 1973 when Lennon's legal team fought back against the deportation efforts. They argued that the government's actions were politically motivated and a violation of his rights as an artist and an activist. The case drew public attention, and supporters rallied around him, seeing Lennon not just as a musician, but as a symbol of resistance against government overreach. Ultimately, the FBI's investigation into John Lennon serves as a chilling reminder of the lengths to which authorities will go to suppress dissent. It highlights the tension between national security and civil liberties, a conversation that remains relevant today. Through it all, Lennon emerged not just as a target, but as a beacon of hope for those who dare to dream of a world without war, proving that music and activism could indeed change the course of history.